Hi guys, and welcome. We are going to be diving into 10 ways cycle syncing can help you. So if you have been on the fence of, is this lifestyle right for me? I've heard some stuff about it. I've heard it can help you with your hormones. I heard it can help with your energy. I've heard like all these things, but I don't know if it's right for me. We're going to dive in this video. And I can personally tell you that I have been impacted by all 10 of these ways. So it has been amazing to watch how your body can transform through aligning your body with your cycle. So before I dive into it, I was not a person who ever seeked for this. It kind of came as a last ditch effort of like, I've tried everything and maybe this will help. And I'm like, sure, why not give it a go? And I'm so glad I did, because it truly has, it's made me feel like I could step forward as who I wanted to be. I no longer was running my everyday life on overwhelm, on this hurried energy that I just had to do everything all at one time. I definitely pride myself on, working hard, doing good at my job, showing up, being there for other people, but at the extent of always sacrificing myself and my own energy and my own happiness to essentially please others and to be nurturing, which is great. And what I loved about cycle syncing was it helped me compartmentalize a little bit more. I was able to understand, here are the boundaries that I need for work. Here are when I know I need to shift to be more within myself. Here's when I know that I'm going to be more social so I can be with friends and really be present with them. It really gave me this next level mindfulness that I had been searching for a very long time. And I think that we come into these experiences in our life, and it could be what brought you in here, where you've been searching for something for a long time in your life and you haven't quite found it. You know it's out there, but you don't know what it is, and cycle syncing might be that. So what it really does is it brings your mind and body into an alignment to how your natural energy like ebbs and flows through the month, and then it helps bring your body into balance so that you feel more balanced. And when we feel balanced and content within ourselves, we're no longer pushing or projecting onto the world around us. Think of how that energy might show up in your life. I used to do it with Tyler, where I would come home from work and I had a really long commute. I had a really long work day. I was moving up very quickly in my career, almost like too fast for my own good, because I was trying to keep up with it, but I don't think I necessarily have the emotional skills yet of how to deal with people all the time. I'm very much an introverted person. So as I started having more people join my team, as I started having more responsibilities, I was plummeting in the evenings and on the weekends. I was giving everything I could of myself during the day to be poised, to have my shit together, to really be crushing my job, but I was faltering within myself, within my own happiness. I was faltering in my relationship. I was faltering with not seeing friends. So I was becoming more of a loner because I was not being open to other people. And so that overwhelm was really causing a wedge within my life and really not giving me the life that I wanted to lead. Like, I didn't feel good about it. I didn't want to feel tired and overwhelmed all the time. I didn't want that hurried, anxious energy all the time, and I couldn't understand. So once I understood hormones and how to match everything to my cycle, it has become so intuitive. And like the women I've worked with, I always have them track their cycle for a month, and they always take my hormones 101 class. Maybe they bought the cycle sync guide and journal book I have up on our website. But they usually say, like, after a month of doing it, they're like, oh, this has actually felt so much more natural and so much more how I want to live anyway, and I just haven't been. So I think, you'll find that your mind and your body has been guiding you to this space. So if you've been here looking to make a change, I think that cycle syncing might be right for you. I obviously am an advocate for it, and it's becoming a more popular women's health trend. When I first got into it over 3 years ago, nobody knew what I was talking about. I had studied functional medicine for a bit, and it's a concept in functional medicine of how to, for women to basically live in relation to our bodies. And like, we aren't taught this anywhere. You know, we're taught about our period, we're taught about ovulation when you're trying to get pregnant, you know, you're taught about those parts, but no one teaches us how it can impact our communication, how it can impact our sense of self-worth and our self-esteem, how you can use it for work to increase your productivity. Nobody teaches us that. So that's why I'm glad you're here, because that's what we're going to be learning today. So 10 ways that cycle syncing can help you is, the first one is going to regulate your cycle and give you a happier period. So most women, about 80% of women have said that their period impacts their job. So that can be from headaches, that can be from cramps, that can be from certainly feeling irritable, definitely not feeling like yourself. So if you think of like the last times that you've called out of work, or maybe, you know, you're an entrepreneur and you were in an office at some point, were you more likely to take a sick day during your period than at other times of the month? So cycle syncing can actually help you regulate your sex hormones, which dictate your monthly cycle, which can then, if you have either like a too short cycle or a too long cycle, it can actually bring you back in the normal range. So I can speak from experience. I had, when I started cycle syncing, I had no idea that my cycle was off. I never tracked my period before. So I started tracking it, and my cycle was 40 to 43 days, which is actually abnormal. The normal cycle range for women is anywhere between 21 and 35 days. So definitely drop it below of how many days your cycle is. And you might even notice that you're going to start syncing up with women in here. So my cycle is 40 to 43 days. And as I started cycle syncing and I started really focusing on my hormones and starting to bring them back into balance, my cycle went down to 33 days, and then it went down to 30 days, then it went down to 29 days, and now it's at about a 28 to 29 day cycle. So you can totally fix whatever issues you're experiencing right now. So I know there's some women in the group who haven't had their period for a while, so maybe consider cycle syncing. It could really help bring this back into alignment for you. And even just by tracking your cycle and just understanding like how many days it is really going to help, because in order to succeed at cycle syncing, you need to know your phases. You need to know when your body is shifting into each of them. And I can do that in another video of what that feels like. It's very distinctive cues that our body actually gives us in terms of our energy and our thought process that will tell us what phase we're in. So fun fact about me that you might not know, when I moved out to California, I took the GREs before I moved out here because I was looking into going to graduate school to become a psychologist. I was really fascinated with human behavior and what drove people to do what they do. And it's interesting how life happens, because I ended up stumbling upon hormones, which is like the missing link into like our body behavior and how we can basically control what we want to do. So like if you're a type A control freak, which I think we have a lot of in this group, you will love cycle syncing and you will love getting to know your hormones, because they truly run our thoughts, and they run how we then act in life. You know, like your thoughts are driving your behavior. So you can regulate your cycle and you'll have a happier period. So I used to get really bad menstrual cramps. So I'm going to be really open to like what my period and stuff used to be like. And you can feel free to ask questions below. Feel free to share your own experiences. I think the more women hear about one another's experiences, the more that we can kind of stop having this be a taboo topic. I know that these are things that we don't always like talk about, or it comes from a place of we're complaining because we're stuck in that space because we're tired, or we're having cramps, or we're moody because our hormones are like all over the place. But if you can have these conversations of like how you feel during your cycle, what comes up for you, this is like, you really need to have those conversations because it shines light on what you need to work on. And so I'm very much like a proactive person. So if I have something that I want to fix or change, I want to know the reasons why, and I want to know what I need to do to be able to fix it. So I was in that realm where I didn't know that you could fix all these things. I really thought that these symptoms were normal because they're so common, but common doesn't mean normal. So the hormone symptoms are really just a sign that your body is stressed out and it needs to be brought back into balance, and that's why you're here. So Definitely. So I used to get terrible cramps. Cycle syncing actually helped me alleviate them. So you've been practicing a little bit with the smoothie recipes, and these are recipes that I use within my cycle, and how I use food to actually calm down inflammation, how I use it to improve my gut health, because cramps stem from too much blood stagnation in the uterus and too much inflammation. So that will really help, especially like you guys will feel a difference like this month, but in the next month or two is when you're really going to feel it if you end up sticking with these smoothie recipes each week. You know, they're yours to do whatever you want to do in life. So you can certainly keep this going after 30 days. So the second way is it's going to reduce your hormone symptoms like bloating, acne, headaches, mood swings, any sort of like annoying symptoms you'll get during PMS or during your period. Sometimes ovulation, I know some women will bloat or break out at ovulation. So it's not just, you know, your period that these symptoms can come forward. So I used to struggle with acne like a shit ton. So I actually got into hormones when I wanted to get clearer skin. Like skin, that was my prime reason of actually first starting to look into hormones. I wanted clearer skin. So I now have pretty clear skin, and if I get a breakout, I know why. I know it's either from food that I ate. I know that maybe I didn't detox as much as I was supposed to throughout the month, so that it was showing up. Acne can sometimes show up as like excess hormones that haven't left the body, and they just show up on our skin, which is super annoying. But at least like having that understanding to why, it helps you understand what you need to do within yourself. So it's like, okay, I need to clear out some inflammation. I need to make sure that I'm detoxing on a regular basis. And you can do that on an everyday basis through food, which is what I teach in our recipe guide that's up on our website, as well as in the Balanced Bombshells lifestyle plan. I've got a lot of detox hacks that are super gentle to the body inside that lifestyle plan. I live and breathe that every single day, and thoroughly appreciate the detox because it has been life-changing, not only for my skin, but my mood. So bloating is the number one issue or number one complaint I hear from women. I totally relate. That's one of the things that definitely motivated me into doing cycle syncing was the stupid water retention. I felt like it was coming, it was like 3 to 5 pounds every single month, and it was super annoying. So I get you. I know what it's like to wake up one day and like the day before you're like, man, I'm feeling great. I feel like I have my healthy eating's working. I feel like my exercise working, but I can hardly button my jeans the next day. And like, how did that happen overnight? That is absolutely your hormones, and you can regulate that through cycle syncing. So that was one of the biggest successes I think that I had, was reducing the bloat. It was super annoying. And so it's really just understanding. For me, it was more of like exercise and food and what I needed to do at very specific parts of the month to alleviate that water retention. So it can also help you get rid of like food cravings and mood swings that you might have related to your hormone shifting. I know a lot of women complain about food cravings. I used to have a ton of them. Like I used to want all the sugar, I used to want all the salt, I used to want all the bad foods for me, and it definitely popped up around my cycle. Now I actually rarely get food cravings, or if I do, it's not nearly as intense, and I retrained my body to reach for the foods that it was actually asking for. So I do have a blog post up on our website about food cravings if you want to dive into that. I can share the link with anyone who wants it. Just let me know. So the third one is boosting your fertility. So when we think of fertility, I don't think of this just as getting pregnant. So when you are regulating your cycle, you're actually putting your fertility in its best alignment. So fertility is like think of like fertility as your vitality, as like your energetic, happy self. When your body is in alignment to basically have a baby, whether or not you choose to do so, your energy is going to be higher, your mood's going to be better, you're going to feel happier and healthier because your fertility is boosted. And like that's basically how our bodies were designed, and we were designed to reproduce. And so even if, you know, it's not realistic that we're going to be pregnant every single month. No one is having a baby every year unless you're like, really don't use birth control and you want 15 children. Like that, I think was like, you know, maybe more in our parents' age or our grandparents' age, where that was like a thing where like nobody did birth control, so they were just having all these children. I don't think it's economically feasible because having kids is obviously super expensive. So like I don't think of, so fertility is certainly if you want to boost your fertility because you want to have a baby, but cycle syncing is naturally going to help boost your fertility anyway because it's bringing your body in its best alignment, which is how your body was designed to be. Your body's designed to make babies. And so we have our period every single month because you're then not pregnant. That's why we're having our period. It's not just some annoying thing that shows up every single month. There's a very specific purpose. So you're having your period because you're shedding your uterine wall, which builds up every single month to be able to have a baby. And if you're not pregnant, you then shed that lining, which we then know of as our period. So it's not something, I don't think fertility is ever something to wish away. I know there's a lot of women in this group that want children, maybe have children, are struggling to have children, but then there's a group that's like not ready yet and wants to focus on their career or whatever. Women have the right to choose to do whatever we want to do, and just understanding that boosting your fertility is a good thing and can be there for when and if you choose to have children, but also to give you a happy and healthy cycle every single month. And so cycle syncing is naturally going to help bring your body into alignment so your fertility is boosted. And think of like your energy being higher. Think of your skin being clearer, your eyes being brighter, you feeling happier to connect with other people. Like that to me is your fertility. So the fourth one is going to increase your energy levels. This was huge. Like I absolutely fell into a category where like I would feel great for 2 weeks and then really shitty for the next 2 weeks. And it was always like an energetic dig. So what I used to do was, and I didn't even understand this, so I did notice the energy high of ovulation. So our energy peaks at ovulation because estrogen peaks. Estrogen is a very stimulating hormone. So it's going to make you feel more like charismatic, more charming, more sociable, basically. So I actually would use that time of the month as the holy grail of my energy levels. And so I didn't understand why like a week or so later, I would feel like so not energetic, just like I didn't want to be around people. I just wanted to be alone. And I really thought something was wrong with me. I really thought that like everybody else in the world just wanted to be around people all the time. That's also my own experience as being more of an introverted person versus an extroverted person. But really, I think all women feel this way. And like it is intensified if we don't take rest at the times of the month when we need it the most. So what I started noticing was I no longer tried to get back up to that energetic high. Because what I used to do was I used to drink coffee a lot more in the later part of my cycle to try and get my energy the same way it was at ovulation, not realizing that my body was never going to get there. So I was putting this expectation on my body that wasn't realistic. And then I was reaching for habits and quick fixes that were actually more damaging to my hormones and causing my stress levels to be even more increased. And we've talked a bit about cortisol in here. And that was making cortisol like way too high. And then of course I'm overwhelmed and emotional and having mood swings, like of course. So just understanding your energy levels and when to give it your all, when to scale back, like that was a huge lesson for me to learn. And I think that a lot of women in here could learn it as well. I'm being very honest with you because I know your personality type, I know who you are. And I think just understanding that giving ourselves permission to actually like take rest and take time when we need it is like life-changing for women. And we don't even think to do that. Like men naturally do. Like I would have this conversation with my husband because as I was trying to build Balanced Bombshells, I was still in my full-time job. I was still trying to like support myself as best as possible. And he noticed, like, he's like, you don't stop. He's like, you just like keep going. So he's like, even on the weekends. So he started scheduling naps for me because he knew I wouldn't listen to my body. I would just push through it. And he's like, this isn't serving you. So I learned a lot from the men in our lives of how they just naturally know how to scale back. So us ladies just don't do that. We're more like the multitaskers. We're trying to do everything all at once. We're like, yeah, I have got so many things I want to do, but we don't have to do them all at one time. So I think just even having that realization of when to push yourself either in your workouts, at work, with your to-do list, and when to scale back is naturally going to help you increase your energy levels, and you can do that all by syncing everything to your cycle. So that is a huge one that has happened. And so another thing I want to touch on for energy levels is I used to have like really low energy during my period. Now when I get it, my energy is through the roof. You would be like, okay, Laura, you say you're introverted, but you are super extroverted. No one's ever going to be able to know that I'm having my period at that time. My period is drastically different from what it was like 3 to 4 years ago. It is insane. And I will just be like an Energizer bunny. Like sometimes I might have like an afternoon where I feel slightly tired, but I'm not, my body is no longer plummeting within itself. And that is because I take time the week before to actually rest when I need to. And I think one of the biggest realizations women have when they first start cycle syncing is when they're able to really pinpoint the days before their period starts of when their energy dips. And then they start rearranging their schedule on those days to actually take a little bit more rest. Maybe they're sleeping in, maybe they're doing yoga instead of a tough workout. Maybe they're taking the afternoon to go get their nails done or go for a walk, or maybe they're hiring a babysitter on that day, because it is very, very predictable of the energetic dig that you will have before your period starts. For me, it will come exactly 7 days before my period starts, and I'll have a day where I just feel like I need to be slower paced in life. It doesn't mean that you can't do what's on your schedule and you can't do what you want to do. You just might notice that your energy needs to shift, and it's okay that you're a little bit slower throughout the day and you can still get everything done. You just don't have that pressure anymore. And then it comes again 2 days before my period where I feel another just, hey, I'm a little bit more tired, I need to slow down. So that is like 7 days before and then 2 days before. So some women will just notice like 2 days before. Some women might notice it like 3 days before. It's very individual to your cycle. But once you start tracking your cycle and really start collecting this data on yourself and analyzing how you're thinking and feeling, you're going to be able to then change your schedule around this to really support your body best. And then each month things will just get better, and you'll notice you'll actually have more energy as you move forward. The fifth one is improving your relationships. So if you got my email this morning, you know that cycle syncing was a way for me to actually improve Tyler and I's relationship. We had just moved in together, and man, it is like drastically different of how our relationship is now and what our conversations are like. I am more proactive in telling him how I'm going to be feeling. So I really think cycle syncing can help you predict your emotions so that you can have the conversations with people in your life so they know what to expect. I think that is, so it's not saying that you're never going to feel this way. It's having the communication and to be able to articulate, hey, this is where I'm going to be at in my cycle. I'm going to be feeling a little bit more tired. I might be feeling a little bit more irritable. So what would help me is if you actually give me a little bit more space, or maybe you can help me clean up the house. Maybe you can go out with your friends. Maybe you need to go on a guy's weekend and leave me alone for the entire weekend. So like really just understanding that I refuse to project this onto him anymore. And I was like every other woman where you just want your partner to know what you want without having to say anything. Like, we all wish that. We just don't want to tell them. We want them to just do it. If life is only that easy, a male brain doesn't work like that. We have to be like upfront and in their face and tell them what we want. And you can own that. Like literally just tell your man what you want. So I started telling him what I wanted and what I needed. I started asking for it, and I started getting very comfortable with asking because I didn't before. And that really caused a wedge between us because I was coming home from my hectic job, my long commute, and I would walk in the door. It was like, you know, let's say it was like 7 days before my period on that day where I was having low energy and I didn't understand there was related to my period yet, because you don't think about your period until you then get it, right? Like, I totally get it. And he would be like sitting on the couch and he would be watching TV. So he, after he gets home from work, likes to sit and watch TV for like 15 to 20 minutes. He's got his sports shows that he likes to watch. And of course he is entitled. He's had a long day. He of course can have that 15 to 20 minutes to watch a sports show. Totally cool. And most of the month it was totally fine. So I would come in and like, it was like a bomb would go off because I was like so angry that he was sitting there and he didn't see how messy our home was, which in reality wasn't messy. We get like hyper focused before a period on cleanliness and our space. And like even though like I had cleaned that morning, we had both cleaned that weekend. Like we're both really good at picking up after ourselves and cleaning. But I would come in and I would be hyper focused on the fact that there was like a dish in the sink, there was crumbs on the counter because he made it a snack after work, and I was pissed that he didn't pick up after himself. And it was just like, it's just so silly to think about, because in retrospect, it's like, yeah, of course, like that's stupid, but it was so irritating. It made me so angry. And so I would come at him while he's trying to relax and just be like, what are you doing? And I would go on this rampage where I just start cleaning everything. And he's just probably sitting there like, what is going on? Like, why is she acting like this? And that was really, it was like the gateway for me to then express all the things that had bothered me all month long that I just suppressed and never talked about. And so I'm like just word vomiting and just being like, oh, well, last weekend you didn't do this, and just literally coming at him with all these things. And these are very common situations that couples have. Very common if you have a roommate, very common with your families. Like, I totally understand suppressing our emotions, suppressing how we truly feel, and not finding healthy ways to address the situation is really damaging to our relationships. And we don't always realize it. And cycle syncing helped me understand and predict when I would be more likely to have this type of behavior. Because for me, I would be over the mood swing pretty quickly, whereas Tyler wasn't. He would still be hurting for like a day or two afterwards, because my tone would be hurtful for him. My word choice would be hurtful for him. And I was realizing, like, this is not how I want to treat my partner. Like, I should never treat him that way, but I can't control myself. I was having a hard time controlling my emotions. And so cycle syncing actually helped improve that. So I was able to be more vocal, certainly into Tyler, but then other relationships in my life. My sister and I don't always get along. We butt heads pretty often. And even she lives in Massachusetts, in my hometown, while I live in California. So we're like 3,000 miles apart, and our cycles will still sync up from 3,000 miles away. So like, I know when we're more likely to have a fight is when she's about to have her period and she calls me to be mad at me for basically not calling her during the week, like whatever. Basically, you can tell people's deep-rooted fears and emotions based on their arguments. So it helped me articulate with my sister better. So it really can help improve your relationships. It can improve the way you communicate at work. And, maybe sometimes you feel a little irritated because you need more space, and you can articulate, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Can we maybe push that meeting? And it really is going to help you vocalize what you need so that you can feel supported, and then you emotionally are not having those out of control emotions and that reactivity that we can experience. So what I can say is that as I was balancing my hormones, I don't get into those states anymore. I don't get into that overwhelm. I don't get into that negative thinking that is very much tied to unbalanced hormones. So I think that's one thing most women don't understand about hormones, is how much it's tied to your thought process, and it can inflict your brain with negative thoughts and emotions. So it's basically like, cycling is going to be one of the biggest mindset shifts you will ever have in your life, and it's going to completely put you in a world where you feel abundant and like happy and secure, versus feeling a sense of lack, feeling a sense of not feeling supported or security. So you definitely have to do your mindset work along with this. It can just help with all of that work that you're then doing to make sure that your mindset is definitely coming from like an abundance place and I always like women supporting women. I know that we can, feel naturally competitive in our lives, and just even understanding like you have everything that you need. And when your hormones are really balanced, you truly, truly feel that way. You truly feel content. You truly feel happy with who you are. You feel secure. And I feel like a woman feeling that way, she is unstoppable and she can do anything she wants in this world. Because we all want to be that way. We all want to be kind. We all want to be, like leading in our lives. We all want that. And your hormones can actually be bringing you into that alignment so that you can express that into the world, and all just by aligning your habits to your cycle. Okay, so the next one is, it's going to increase your productivity and mental clarity at work. So there's definitely going to be parts of the month where you're noticing like, hey, I stare at my computer screen and I just like can't do anything. Or like, I just notice there are certain days where I just want to call out of work and I'm dragging myself into work. You're going to start noticing that you have different times of the month where you want to focus on different things. We talked about that in our goal setting video. So if you haven't watched that, that was like one of the first ones we did this year for 2020. So you can go in our videos tab and rewatch that. And that really goes into how you're going to be thinking in each phase, because you can then start partnering your work habits. And So for a while, I would like just write it on my calendar of like, hey, focus on this. Now I naturally just look at my calendar and that's when I'll schedule certain things, or I'll just sit down at work and I notice what my brain naturally wants to focus on. So this will become very intuitive. So then your productivity is going to increase and you're going to be able to get more done in less time. So then you feel less stressed out. Less stress then regulates your hormones even more because it's really calming your body down, which is what we're always seeking. And then your energy levels are going to increase because you're no longer feeling as tired or overwhelmed. Like that's a very energetic component to our daily lives. Like if we're feeling really stressed out without really realizing it, or beating ourselves up because we haven't gotten as much done as we want to, that's causing stress to our body and it's actually lowering our energy levels. So I'm excited if you start incorporating this for work. I work with many female entrepreneurs. I work with many women who are, trying to succeed in their jobs. And it's just so fun to be able to have that conversation of how they can bring in the cycle syncing practice into their work. And so you might hear me say this a lot, but I call cycle syncing a practice. So just like you're going to practice yoga, just like you're going to practice meditation, just like you're going to practice your mindfulness or, gratitude or whatever you've been working on, cycle syncing is a practice. It's not something that I think, will ever 100% conquer because your body's ever flowing and always changing. And so it's really like settling into your body and just being along for the ride and just listening to her of what she's telling you and guiding you to do, because she's telling you all the time. We just aren't taught those cues. And cycle syncing can help teach you what those cues are. It's also going to improve your mood and your self-esteem. So if you feel like bloated during your period, if you feel like cramps where your stomach kind of feels like protruded, if you get acne, so if you get any of these like hormonal symptoms that we just find annoying, your self-esteem is going to increase when you're no longer experiencing them. Like you're able to go to the beach before and during your period and not feel bloated and be like, wow, I can still wear my bathing suit and not feel like I have to go do like 100 countries or some sort of juice cleanse to be able to like look good in my bathing suit. Your body's going to be in its best alignment where your weight stays stable. You are able to see that lean muscle that you work hard for at the gym. Like you're going to be able to, that's what your hormones would do. That's where your body, that's the state that she wants to be in. And our hormones can help us do that. We just have to make sure that we're giving it the right tools to be able to have that. So your self-esteem is going to increase. You're going to feel so much better. The more you start articulating your wants and your needs to other people, that's going to increase your self-confidence, because I think we struggle with asking for help. Like most women do. Men naturally will just do it. Women, I struggle for sure. But if you think of like if a friend came to you and asked you for help on something, wouldn't you be like, oh my gosh, of course? You wouldn't give it a second thought. You would be so happy that she asked. It's the same for you. Your people need to know what you want. They need to know what you need, and you have to tell them. They're not mind readers. As much as we wish people were, they're not mind readers. They're never going to know what we want and what we need unless we tell them. So Tyler actually thanks me because we practice this every single month, where I'll tell him what he can expect from my mood and my energy for that week. And he's like, I just thank you so much for telling me, because he's like, I like that I don't have to guess. I know what I can do to support you. I know if I'm going to need to get out of your hair because you want some alone time. Like, it's really helpful to be able to ask for what you want, because then you can then get it. And then your self-esteem increases because you're just like, I'm like an asking machine and I'm getting what I want because all I need to do is articulate that. So then your mood's going to increase because you're going to feel happier, you're going to feel more positive, and you're going to feel like you just want to keep doing it. And that is something that that's another way that cycle syncing can help you. So another one, we've got like 3 more. So it's going to help you lose weight if that's what you're looking to do. So it's going to help, like, if you're focusing on cycle syncing, you're lowering your stress hormones, which can cause weight to be like clinging around certain parts of your body. So if you can lower your stress hormones, most women will experience weight loss. In the lifestyle plan, most women, so we focus on stress levels in the first module. And so this is an online course that you can take at any time. It's up on our website. If you want the link, just let me know. In the first module, we go over stress for the woman's body. And I don't have women change their eating habits the first week. And most women will notice a weight loss of 1 to 3 pounds in the first week of doing that plan, because you're lowering stress hormones. So stress hormones, actually, I think that more women are getting stress versus weight. So if you can be like, okay, my body's just stressed out, how can I calm it down? And that's what we focus on in that first week. your body doesn't need to cling on to this extra weight anymore. So I love hormones. You're able to like hack your body and like get it to do what you want it to do. So just even understanding that of just it can help you lose weight because you're lowering your stress hormones. Then if you're balancing estrogen and progesterone, which are two of your sex hormones that are regulating your cycle, and cycle syncing attacks them most, if you can get those in alignment, most women will, they might experiencing some sort of estrogen dominance or an imbalance with progesterone. So both of those hormones, if either is too high or too low, it's going to cause weight gain and bloating. So if you can regulate them and allow your body to shift in the natural rhythms that it needs to, and have your body producing the correct amounts and not excess or not enough, you're going to notice that bloating goes down and weight loss is easier to achieve. So I feel like in the weight loss community, that's something they don't talk about, especially to women. They're not educating them on their hormones, which I think is such a disservice to women everywhere. So especially for like fitness trainers, where like if you work with men and women, men are going to have a very different route than a woman is. Like you can't put them on the same plan. So yeah, you always have to advocate for yourself too. So if you know your body, you're going to be able to advocate for what you want and need. And so cycle syncing can actually help put your weight in a more stable, like the perfect alignment for you, which is, I noticed I no longer was having that like 5-pound weight loss and gain every single month, which is super annoying. So I know how annoying that is, and it can help you lose a little bit of weight. And so the next one is going to reduce your stress levels and overwhelm. We kind of touched this on this a little bit by cycle syncing helping reduce your stress levels, because you're able to take rest at the times in your body where you're naturally meant to take rest anyway. So I think that we, especially like type A driven women, we want to do it all. We want to do it all at one time. We want to prove that we can do it. But if you can start taking time to like rest and slow down at the times of the month. So it's really like as you're shifting into your later luteal phase and the first few days of your period, those are going to be the biggest times of the month you want to just relax and not necessarily not do your life. Just how can you be doing calmer exercises? How can you be putting less on your plate? Really plan for a time that could be overwhelming, and just lighten your load during those days. And you're going to notice that every single month when you start doing that, not only is it becoming more consistent and easier, but your stress levels and your feelings of overwhelm calm down. So in the beginning video, I talked about how I used to have this really nervous, anxious energy all the time. I no longer get that. I get more of an excited energy at certain parts of the month when I can feel estrogen increasing. And then I feel more happy and positive and way like mellow right before and during my period. So progesterone rises during our second part of our cycle, and it's a very relaxing hormone, and it can actually make you feel really content and balanced and happy with your life. So that was something I never really experienced before. I was not that kind of person that had regular progesterone levels. And so that really helped me not feel overwhelmed before my period, or not feel tired, or all of that stuff. So it's really going to help reduce your stress levels and reduce overwhelm. And so the last one is going to give you a more positive mindset. So we also touched on this a little bit on how it's going to improve your mindset. So you are going to feel so much more secure in who you are as a person. You are going to feel so much more excited and happy with the route that you're going on. You're going to feel empowered because the work you're doing is actually working. And you're going to want to keep going. And so I think with cycle syncing is it's going to be your biggest personal development project. That I think that it's going to be one of the biggest ones you'll ever do in your life. I think other ones that will be another area of self-growth is if you ever want to have children. I know that women becoming moms, it really tests you and makes you really shift your priorities. And then another one is when another hormone shift happens when we're going through menopause. So we have these really big hormone shifts in our life. And I feel like cycle syncing is going to prepare you for all of these things, because hormones have the power to make or break us. When they're unbalanced, we're plummeting. We're not ourselves. We don't feel as happy and content as we know we should. We don't have the body and the mindset that we want. And this can happen through very big hormonal shifts like pregnancy, postpartum, and going through menopause. And so cycle syncing is going to prepare you for these huge life shifts in your life, not only because you're able to practice it on an everyday place now, so you're going to be able to know the difference of how you think and feel and happy feeling like now in your life, but it's going to help you as you go through those shifts because you know where you're supposed to be. You know that it's possible for you to be there. And even if you're going through these big shifts, it can actually support your body where you don't have as much of an impact that some women have. So if you've ever talked to your friends who've gone through pregnancy or postpartum, talk to them about how they felt and then ask them what their habits were like. Did they feel like their hormones were balanced beforehand? What was their period like? What was their PMS like? This is an indication to what those experiences can be like. It's kind of like a prediction into our future, and most of us don't want to pay attention to it. We don't want to like shine light on that's like the reality of our life, but it really can indicate how you're taking care of yourself on an everyday basis and what those experiences will be like. And then the same with menopause. So like my mom didn't do any of this stuff. She didn't know any of this stuff. And when I first was telling her, she was like, I really wish that I knew this when I was your age, because my mom had a very hard time going through menopause. My mom struggled with postpartum depression after she had my brother. I'm getting emotional because I know how hard it was for her. And so I just wish, like, even our moms who are my mom is post-menopause at this point, but when she was going through it, she had all the hot flashes, she had all the crazy like weight gain, she had all of these hormonal stuff. And I just wonder, would her experience have been different if she knew how to take care of her body from the start? So really understanding your hormones and understanding cycle syncing and naturally aligning yourself to your cycle is not only going to benefit you now and make you feel happier and positive and content and have the energy and the happiness that you want to live your life, but it's also going to be helping you as you move forward to these next big steps in your life. So those are 10 ways in which cycle syncing can help you. I think this is the longest video we have done in this group today. So if you have any questions, please drop it below. I'm excited to know if you like this video. And I will talk to you later. Feel free to ask any questions in case you need it. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.